Hi everyone, welcome to the Evolution Skateboarding review. This is a relatively obscure PS2 game, so I figured I'd try to put my hat in the ring trying to cover it. I hadn't even heard of this game before until Square Eye Jack reviewed it for one of his October specials, but picking it up, it was really interesting. I will admit though, like as a Tony Hawk player, it was really infuriating trying to figure out how the physics worked in this game because it's really like heavy and weighted compared to like the like very lightweight style of the Tony Hawk series in terms of gameplay. We have one tip before we get into the detailed review. Max out your speed and your ollie because that will be the most important things you could have here. Now getting into the actual review portion of this game is actually a sequel, believe it or not, to X Games Skateboarding, which is the reason Bob Burnquist wasn't in Pro Skater 3. That game, not this one. But it feels almost completely different. It doesn't feel that different from X Games Skateboarding. I've played both. But it very much does have like a different style compared to X Games Skateboarding, because X Games Skateboarding, sure, it had an arcade mode, but its main gimmick sort of was the competition mode, which actually in this game the competition modes are a secondary mode to this. But this one plays into the arcadey aspect, unlike X Games Skateboarding, with a announcer and everything. It goes the whole 9 yards, and it's like a ADHD fever dream. This game is like, you know, the slightly racist 2000s Japanese jokes where everything's sort of over the top and weird. This game is like the actual version of that, because you have an announcer announcing every trick you do. Every little term from skateboarding is sort of off base, I'm assuming, because Japanese skateboarders call things slightly different things, and that's how they directly translated it. Because you have like a tail manual, which here is just a regular manual, but I'm guessing they just specify things a bit differently, like deck tape instead of grip tape. And this is a very similar game to Tony Hawk, at least gameplay loop-wise. You get a set of objectives for each level. You have to complete a certain amount to unlock each level. Though, I will note, you don't have to complete every campaign to unlock stuff. I mean, you have to complete each campaign separately to unlock stuff, but as far as I know, there is nothing from playing every campaign all the way through and unlocking something. You just unlock characters with each completion and run through. And there's also a point system that unlocks stuff for your custom skater and little extra things as well. Speaking of Creative Skater, welcome Delorbo. I just put my username in as the name because this game, like when you make a Creative Skater, it has an actual not an information suite, but like it asks for a first and a last name. So I just said F it and just put the channel name there. But this Creative Skater is honestly fairly limited. It's decent, to give it credit. It's a decent Creative Skater, but like you don't get to choose like which pieces have what logos and like what like the shoes are also like different selections and colors and things. You can see as the layout, like you have the main like model, then you have like the color or the style of it, and then you have the logo or brand. Well, yeah, you had the item, the branding, and then the logo on it. Kind of similar to how Pro Skater 2 did its customization, but it's still more limited than that. On the other hand, board customization is actually having stuff that they wouldn't put until Underground, because you can actually add stickers to your board, which good on them. I actually think this is an interesting thing, and I'm actually wondering if Neversoft may have taken inspiration from this game to add stuff like that to Underground 1. Granted, with Underground 1, it's more so that you can customize your own deck rather than it being a pre-made deck with stickers on it, though you could do that in Underground 1. Along with that, you can technically create your own special tricks, though it's not really a special trick. It's more of a special trick sequence, and then you have your regular special trick. It's fairly impressive for the time. Being 2002, the most recent Pro Skater game was 3. Especially with the whole board stickers options and the special tricks. That's honestly fairly cool for this time. That's about it for the creation suite, so on we go to the campaigns. Now, this is where stuff is going to get interesting about this game, because one, Most campaign level selections are actually unique to each skater, so you actually get a unique experience with each skater you play as. Though with the skater you unlock, it's just the pro skaters campaign over again. You just have a different set of stats, which some of them are kind of funny because there's like a gorilla secret skater, and his stats are like the lowest ones you can have, and then Snake and Raiden from Metal Gear have nearly maxed out stats. But as you play the campaign, you might notice, some of these levels look odd. Why there's top secret warnings for some levels? There's boss fights in this game. Granted, the main two boss fights are like actual levels. Like they're their own levels. Like you have the truck driving through Philadelphia, and then you have the Panzer, I think. Correct me on that in the comments. In the Japan level. Which it took me the longest time to realize these were just those levels repurposed. I don't know why. I don't actually no. The Panzer one I immediately recognized was the Japan level, but I didn't realize the truck level was just reusing the Philadelphia assets. You also have levels that are just straight up tie-ins with games. Like the castle level is literally just Castlevania, and then you literally have the rig from MGS2, which also ties in with the fact that the PS2 version of Substance MGS2 actually had a demo for this game where you could play as Raiden and Snake on the different routes of the rig. I almost said big rig. This isn't big rigs over the road racing. Level talk out of the way. Let's talk about some of the skateboarders featured in this game. I'm going to be honest. You know, I'm young. I'm Gen Z. I don't recognize most of these guys because I've just recently gotten really back into skateboarding. I mean, I recognize some of them, like Carrie Getz obviously was in CKY1, smashing a skateboard. Stevie Williams was in CKY2K. Arto, I swear I've seen him in something before. I don't know if it's one of the skate videos I own or one of the skate video games. I don't know. I recognize his name, though, from something. Danny Way obviously was in the skate series. Then you have Colin McKay, Rick McCrank, and Chris Sen, which Colin, I think, also appeared in the skate games. I could be wrong. Then for secret skaters, they really just pulled the most random grab bag. Like, you have literally an unknown entity. You could play as a gorilla. You could play as Frogger, Snake, Raiden, 2 Gurukovich soldiers from MGS2, an alien, Vampire Hunter, which is literally just a Belmont, and it's just Konami. You have more franchises than this. Choose a better selection, bro. Obviously, MGS is good, but, like, they don't even directly use Castlevania aside from Vampire Hunter being in the game, which it is actually named Vampire Hunter if you play the castle level. But, like, it's Vampire Hunter, and then they just have Dracula there. Speaking of that section, I'm pretty sure I forgot to mention this in the boss section of this, but you have Castlevania Dracula as a boss, and in the alternate route of the castle level, you have a giant spider as a boss, which tip for that boss fight, hold triangle to grind, even if it's a separate ledge. I tried doing this without knowing that's how you keep grinds going, and it was the most tedious thing I'd ever done. Speaking of that, more on the gameplay, it controls fairly well. You just have to get really used to how it controls, because this game isn't bad at all. I've seen, like, I looked at the wiki for this game, and, like, all the reviews said it was a bad knockoff of Tony Hawk, and then there's some videos that... There was this one YouTube video because I was bored browsing, looking for reviews of this game just to see, like, what people thought of it, or if there were any more videos than Square Eye Jack's one. And one of the videos was like, "This is the worst game I've ever played," or it was titled something like that. And it's just like, clearly you didn't bother to play it enough to actually get a hold of the game, because I was frustrated playing this game for the first time. It's a very steep learning curve coming off of Tony Hawk into this game, and I actually like that. You have to think about what you're doing in this game, especially considering you can't just combo to the ends of time like you can in the Tony Hawk series. Actually, there is manual extensions technically, but not to the degree that, like, Thups 4 onward had, but you could still do like double input tricks and everything in manuals in this game. But the biggest thing with manuals is that it's not an analog stick input, it is an analog stick button input. So grinds and manuals are actually mapped to the same button, which I'd say, honestly, if you're looking at it a certain way, kind of works. But obviously, hold up, you do a nose manual. Hold up plus triangle, you do a nose manual. Down plus triangle, you do a regular manual. And you do extensions further on there, but I didn't look at the trick list, so I don't really do extensions. But yeah, it's kind of tricky to get a hang of, like, going in and out of manuals. But it's fun once you learn it, because, like, if I have competition, like, if you look at the competition levels, I actually got gold stars in both of them. And, like, once you get the hang of that, combo scores in the campaign mode become easy as pie, because it's just basically figuring out which lines to hit throughout the level, which these levels are actually designed fairly well for doing trick lines and everything, at least in the style of this game. It would be interesting, honestly, to see these levels ported to a mod of Tony Hawk like Thug Pro or Rethawed, because with how, like, advanced those games are compared to this one, it would be really fun to just hit like a million point combo in these levels. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention there's a actual practice mode and a challenge mode in this, where the practice mode is basically your tutorial mode, and the challenge mode obviously is a challenge mode where they give you certain challenges to complete in a certain amount of time within a level that, or like a area that's specifically designed for the challenge, which I think is pretty cool to actually include that, especially considering Tony Hawk was already including tutorials with Pro Skate. Yeah, that's the first game that included tutorials, Pro Skater 3, so pretty well matched up, honestly. Okay, the last thing before I wrap this up, the soundtrack. I'm going to be honest, this soundtrack mostly has bands I've never heard of before besides Primus, CKY, Agent Orange. I've heard of Il Nino before, but I don't listen to them. The Dickies, I think I've heard of before. H2O is actually in the new Tony Hawk game, so that's kind of funny seeing them go from this to being in an actual Tony Hawk game. But anyways, the soundtrack overall is pretty good, but my biggest complaint with it is why the hell is there 3 Primus songs? And it's Harold of the Rocks, Mr. Know-It-All, and Pudding Time. I like Primus, but did you really need to have this take up nearly like a third of the soundtrack? There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 songs in this, and 3 of them are Primus. Literally a third of this soundtrack is Primus, and it's just like, we don't need 3. You don't need 3 of the same artist in one soundtrack. That's ridiculous. But hey, at least we got Peak CKY in here with Human Drive and Hi-Fi. That was honestly, I was like shocked seeing that in the track list, because I didn't expect this game to have CKY at all, especially considering they barely licensed out their music for anything after Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. So it was a genuinely nice surprise to see CKY appear in this, especially my favorite song. And Let It Burn, the intro song in this game. That brings me to one last gripe I have. The intro video is too long. They literally made it the length of the entire song, which is cool. But even the Tony Hawk games didn't do that. They at least cut like a minute off of the song. Heck, some songs they were like 4 minutes, or like they cut like half of the song minimum. And it's just like, why did you let the entire song play? It's just, the intro is way too long. I watched it all the way through, both the few times I played it just for this review, and it's just like, why did you need a full 3-minute intro? It just drags on. And but yeah, obviously you have video content like the other skateboarding games, which it's mainly ads and the skaters' videos. So that's all I have to say about that, really. Yeah, this was Evolution Skateboarding. Honestly, a pretty fun game once you get the hang of it. It is a steep learning curve coming off of playing Tony Hawk for nearly my entire life. But once you get the hang of it, it is really fun. Biggest gripe, though, has to be like the physics. It's very heavily based off of X-Men, X Games skateboarding, which that technically is made on a PS1 development engine. So it's that's basically a PS1 game. This is a PS2 game with basically PS1 physics. But other than that, and some of the level design being janky as hell, because I get caught on a lot of shit. Skill issue probably, but I get caught on a lot of shit in some of the levels, and it's kind of hard to navigate. But yeah, I'll have to give Evolution Skateboarding an 8 out of 10. And that might seem pretty high for this, but I'm not going to judge this as a clone of the Tony Hawk games. Because while it is doing a similar formula as the Tony Hawk games, it isn't doing a one-to-one like recreation of the gameplay style, which some other games did. And if you really just want to play Tony Hawk but not Tony Hawk, play Grind Session. That was made by Shaba, dude. Just play the one made by the guys who ended up developing the PS1 versions of THPS 3 and other ports of Tony Hawk games. Just play that. But as a standalone game, it's awesome. I love it. But yeah, 8 out of 10 for Evolution Skateboarding. And subscribe if you want to. Like the video if you want to. Dislike it if you dislike it. And I am out.